everyone, how you doing today? My name's Kirsty and I'm coming at you today with not one, but two TBRs for October. The first TBR is my usual monthly. This is my heroic TBR. I didn't do it last month because of Adventure-a-thon. However, I am going to use last month's books to come up with all my tallies and my totals and what I need to go forward and backward, etc. on the board, and my punishments, etc. And then the second one is the return of Gothtober, which is hosted every year and by the same group of lovely ladies, and is basically a pick your own horror adventure. And then at the end of the pick your own adventure, it gives you your list for your TBR. So I'm going to start off with a very, very brief wrap up of September. And September went reasonably okay for me. I did read a fair few amount of books. It is still September as I'm recording. There's only a few more days left. And I reckon there's two more that I'll get finished, but only one of them is on my list. So in total, I did complete from my TBR for September. I did complete 5. Unfortunately, I didn't complete 7, so I will have to go back 2 steps on the board. And also because I didn't do 7, that means that I have to add 2 rolls to the game. But thankfully, because I read 5 of them, I can reduce that by 1. So at the end of the day, I am still rolling 6 rolls. So yeah, let's go to the board, let's pick our rolls, do the thing, get on with it. Okay, our board is ready, and as I said, gotta go. Oh, wait, we were here. I did double check before. 6 rolls, and I do need to go back 2 spaces. So back to here. Roll number 1. 7. Not today, buckago. And we have a blank, which is Orca set at sea on roll number 2. Is also a 2. Ginty is right there and is eyeing up my dice. Here's another blank, and we have my favourite arc, Shie Hisaiko Raid, overthrowing of something or someone. Roll number 3. An 11. And is another blank. Midnight R-rated. Roll number 4. Can you see that? No, it's off the board. That was a 10, but 9. You son of a bitch. So, Sports Festival, I've got to go back to here, and that means I need to roll again. Is a 9. And we have Wild Wild Pussycats Squad Goals. I don't think I've had that one yet. Roll number 5. Can you see that? Yes, is a 12. And the cat's paw twitched towards it. Moving on very swiftly from that, we have our final roll, which is a 3. And that is Todoroki, a book with fire or ice on the cover. Let's go pick some books. Okay, so stupidly I miscounted and I said I needed to do 6 rolls. I actually needed to do 7, so I did do a 7th roll off camera, and I got Tetsu Tetsu, so a title features the name of a metal. But yeah, so those are the My Heroic TBR rolls. I'm now going to show you when I did the video for the Gothtober readathon and show you what the TBR list for that was, and then I'll go through the books. So this is my Gothtober run through. Let's go and let's see what we're going to get. So run game. I love this background, it's so cool. So start. Where is your lair? Dracula's castle, the morgue, or the swamp? I'm gonna go with swamp because, you know, I'm not really a vampire-y, housey girly, and the morgue. No, I'm gonna go for the morgue. Maybe I'm some sort of creature that's been brought to the morgue for a dissection, or that's where I feed. We'll find out. Head. Well, I'm terrified of moths, so that is absolutely out. Black Lagoon, or am I going to be headless? I'm going to go Black Lagoon. Let's be a grotesque Black Lagoon creature that maybe I've been dragged out of the swamp and the morgue is now my home. They thought I was dead, but I'm not. Right arm, we have robot arm, tentacle, or werewolf claw. I mean, if I'm like this evil, horrible creature that's come out of the water and the swamp, and I'm like some sort of swamp creature, I think tentacle would be quite fitting for that. And I've got a feeling that's going to be like monster porn or something stupid. So let's go with tentacle. Left arm, webbed fingers, hook hand, or ghostly arm. So webbed seems like the obvious choice to me, because again, I'm this kind of like webby, swampy, watery creature. But I also kind of like the idea of being a ghostly arm, but also kind of a hook. Like maybe I'm like the body of a dead fisherman that was dragged into the water and became this mutated monster creature. So I have like a fisherman's hook because that's what I was holding when I died. So yeah, I'm going to do that. We're going to be a hook hand. But I'm not going to be any old monster. I'm going to be a monster that just, when I died, I was ripped in half. And all that's left is my body innards. This is a really great picture, by the way, that, you know. And then above my head, I've got the choice of horns, a twig headdress, or an angel eye mask. I think it makes sense that I would have like an angel eye mask. Maybe something suckered itself onto my head and I now have this thing, like this underwater creature, suckered itself to me. So I'm going to go with the angel eye mask. And then finally, what do I have on my back? Do I have a Kagane, which are from Tokyo Ghoul? They're like the tendrils that they use to eat people. Bat wings, or a demon whip tail. I'm going to say that maybe like something attached itself to me, and it's not quite a demon or whip tail, it's like an eel or something. Or some like hardened seaweed that I've attached to me and I just use it as a weapon. So I'm going to say demon whip tail. Let's see what we've got. So we have the usual three that get added to everyone, which is BIPOC, disability, and LGBT. Afterlife or past lives, I'm assuming that's because of the morgue. Makes sense. I chose the swamp creature, water theme, or cover. Feed scroll, which I saw Olivia's video, means you basically scroll through social media and then once you reach a book that's on your TBR that you haven't read yet, that's the book you have to read. Urban legend, I guess the hook because of the hook man and things like that. Anything but prose. Yes, I can sneak a manga in there. Multiple POV for the eyes, that's quite cool. And there is a monster romance, just not where I thought it would be. I thought that would be the tentacle, but it was the tail. Yeah, that makes sense. As you can see, there was a lot. Thankfully, and I am thanking all of the deities out there, there was only one of my heroic prompts that didn't fit any of the books in the Gothtober readathon, so I was able to find crossovers for all of these. Gothtober, for BIPOC rep, I have the Forgotten Child, which I'll show here. And basically the main character, when she was 13, accidentally found out that she has the ability to communicate with ghosts and unknowingly unleashed a spirit from a Ouija board, and it terrified her so much that now she avoids anything that's like spooky, creepy, haunted, whatever. She will avoid it until her friend convinces her to go to this weekend thing with her at a ranch, and she finds the spirit of a young boy who was murdered back in the 1970s. Unfortunately, as she now works with the boy to try and uncover what happened to him, there is a darker presence on the farm who is willing to do anything to keep the secret a secret. So that sounds pretty intriguing, and definitely I think it's going to be a bit of a chill factor. Disability rep, I am going with Where Shadows Lie by Allegra Pescatore. And on this one, the main character, she is disabled and she has always been in the shadow of her brother, who was the chosen one. But when he dies, she is then thrust into the position that he had. But unfortunately, his death has unlocked a series of things, and it was basically, now that he's died, there was like this evil presence that was being kept under lock and key. Everything's allowed it to get free, and so the world is basically going to shit, and now she has to step up and take over and control all of that and take care of all of that. And then for LGBTQ rep, I'm going with The Dream Thieves, which is book 2 in the Raven Boys, and I couldn't do Gothtober and not include one of Olivia's all-time favourite books and series. I know she loves the Raven Boys, and it's because of both her and Ren that I finally actually started reading it this year. For the afterlife or past lives, I've gone with Afterlife because I do not like past lives and reincarnation tropes. I hate them. I'm doing a reread of one of my all-time favourite books, and that is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, because this deals with ghosts and follows Yadriel, who, because his community doesn't accept his transness and refuses to accept that he is a man, he goes ahead with this ceremony that is resigned for the males of his community, and he does it for himself, gets accepted, so that means he now has the ability to summon ghosts. Unfortunately, the ghost he intends to summon is not the one he actually summons, and it triggers a whole host of chaotic events that brought in one of my all-time favourite characters, and it was just such a fantastic read. And this time I want to read it with listen to it again on the audio, but this time read it at the same time and highlight all my favourite quotes, which means the whole book's going to get highlighted basically. For the water theme or cover, I'm going with Sea of Storms by Lindsay Pogue, and on this one it's basically a set in the Nordic period and set in like the Viking times, and you've got this woman who hates this guy who is like a terror of the seas. He's a ship's captain that is feared and hated by pretty much everybody, and she ends up on his ship, and it starts a sort of enemies to lovers type romance. For feed scroll, I took forever, and originally I was going to screen record and show you guys the screen recording, but I'm not kidding you, it took 30 minutes of me scrolling to finally get a video that wasn't either K-pop, watercolour tutorials, or books that I'd already read or didn't own. But eventually I found a video that had 2 books on it. The first book that popped up was An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. The second one that popped up was Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer, but I decided to go with An Ember in the Ashes. I don't really know much about this one. Okay, so I think I got City of Brass and Ember in the Ashes the wrong way around. So in Ember in the Ashes, you got Leia is a slave, Elias is a soldier, neither is free, and then some stuff happens and they end up working together, and I think it's probably going to be like a overthrowing the government type thing, and that their destinies are intertwined and their choices will change the fate of the Empire itself. But it just sounds really cool, even though it's not usually the kind of thing that I would go for, but I want to try it at least. Urban legend is next, and I don't really think you get much more urban legend than the story of the Headless Horseman, and in particular this is Christina Henry's own envisioning of the Sleepy Hollow story. Sleepy Hollow itself isn't an urban legend, but the Headless Horseman is a tale told through multiple cultures throughout history, going back thousands and thousands of years, and the Sleepy Hollow story is just one imagining of the Headless Horseman. And in true Christina Henry fashion, this one's going to be dark and delicious, and I always love her writing. Anything but prose, aka poetry, manga, graphic novel, audiobook, anything like that, and I have gone for Black Butler Volume 1 because devils and demons, and it's definitely like that gothic Victoriana. It fits Halloween and Gothtober absolutely stupendously. So we have Black Butler by Yana Sobo and Toboso even, and yeah, CL is a 12-year-old? Yeah, 12-year-old earl of his family's estate. And basically his job is to keep an eye on the black market, dark underground, seedy underbelly of London's society and just make sure that people aren't going too far overboard, and he reports to the Queen. But in order to do all that and to get his strength, he relies on the help of a demon that he has given his soul to, who is this beautiful bastard on the cover. And Sebastian is basically posing as the head butler of the Phantom Hive estate. And it's just such a chaotic and wonderful series. I love it. And yeah, I just love this series so much. Then we have multiple points of view, and for that I'm winning, because it has the word win in the title. I'm reading How to Bite Your Neighbour and Win a Wager, and in this we have one of the main characters, whose name I can't remember, is a vampire, and he basically has this rule of he will only prey on sleeping people and never goes back until he bites a childhood friend of his, and immediately is like smitten, etc., and decides, hey, I am going to go back. The friend, who is oblivious to this, keeps waking up with bite marks, realises, hey, I'm being bitten by a vampire, and decides to seduce the vampire because his mother runs a pharmaceutical company, and she has basically said that if he can bring her a live specimen of a vampire, then she will finally approve of him and accept him. And that's all he's ever wanted. So now becomes this sort of betrayal and storyline of trying not to fall for the guy while also falling for the guy, but knowing that he's going to betray him. And it just sounds really cool. And it's highly recommended by Jonah, so I am excited for it. And then finally, we have the monster romance. And if you know me, you know, it's not something I've really read a lot of or any of. So I thought, well, okay, I know a lot of my friends and a lot of people seem to be going on a bit of a Monster Smut thing at the minute. And I was like, I need to understand what the hype is about. So on this one, I've gone with A Monstrous Claim by R.K. Pierce. And this one is where a human accidentally finds herself trapped in the world of monsters and is captured, and then basically becomes the sex slave of, or companion of, 3 different monsters. So it's kind of like a reverse harem type situation going on. 1 girl, 3 monsters, and they're all different types of monsters. So I imagine there's going to be some very creative sex scenes in this book, and I'm probably going to be equal parts confused and disturbed. But we're going to see how it goes. So that is the TBR for Gothtober. Now, for my heroic TBR, a lot of these books do cross over, like I said. So for Gang Orca, which is a book set at sea, I've chosen Sea of Storms. Then we had Shie Hisaikai Group, and I decided to swap that out because I couldn't find a book that didn't fit something else. So I swapped it out and I drew Tokuyami, which is a character that has a dark side they struggle to control. And for that, I chose the Dream Thieves because I remember from book 1, Ronan kind of had that darkness about him and was more prone to violence and aggression. So I figure that he might be a good character to fit that prompt. For Midnight, R-rated, I'm doing A Monstrous Claim because I imagine this is going to be extremely R-rated. So also, because Midnight is a UA staff, the category for that is an adult book, and this is an adult, so I will get to move a bonus step forward next month, which is awesome. For Wild Wild Pussycats, which is squad goals, I chose Black Butler because the Phantom Hive estate, they are squad goals, absolutely. If you've read it or if you've seen the anime, you know what I'm talking about. And there are actually multiple cases of squad goals because the Reapers, they're all kind of like their own little squad. Wouldn't necessarily say goals, but they are a good squad. The Circus arc, there's a squad in there that's all pretty much squad goals. So there's a lot of squad goals in here. Then it was Bakugo, Go to Hell. So let's draw our Go to Hell for this month. And we have, we have Circus of Wonders, Elizabeth McNeil. That's upstairs. But yeah, that one is set in the 1800s. She basically has a condition that means she has like green leopard spots all over her body, and her parents sell her to a circus, like a freak circus, and it's all about her living there. And I think she uncovers some secrets about the circus and is kind of in danger from it. So, but it is also on my self-destruct list, so it is about time that I got to it, considering I've done really badly on my self-destruct this year. Fire, then it was Todoroki, Fire or Ice on the cover, and again we're going back to do ones that I've already picked, and that's An Ember in the Ashes, because an ember is a thing that happens from fire and is to do with fire. And then finally, the one that I drew after I rolled because I'm an idiot and forgot to draw it at the time is Tetsu Tetsu, a metal on the cover. I'm not kidding you, I went through all of my shelves upstairs, every single one of my ebooks and every single one of my audiobooks, and I found one book that had a direct metal like gold, silver, bronze, brass, etc. in the cover. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? But we have A Crown of Ash and Silver. I'm just going to read it because I haven't looked at it yet. So it's basically saying, after striking a deal with a slimy merchant, Aurelie Kane's life is forever changed. Traded to the Fae to maintain peace between the two realms, she finds herself thrust into a world of myth and chaos. When her captor has plans to sell her hand in marriage in exchange for his own personal gain, she must decide whether she will sit and wait or stand and fight. Confides in the bodyguard assigned to her by the cruelest man she's ever known. As she uncovers the truth of her bloodlines and magic, she discovers her quiet guard has more than a few secrets of his own. Together they dig up a forgotten evil, and Aurelie finds that cold death shines brighter than the summer sun, and the good she once knew is no better than poison in her heart. That sounds pretty awesome, and I do love a good, like, falling for the bodyguard trope. I kind of do have a bit of a thing for that. So yeah, so those are all of the books, and I'm just so glad that there were so many crossovers and that I only ended up with one extra book, which means I only have, I say only, but it means that instead of my TBR being like 20 books yet again, it was like 11 books this month, so I'm quite happy with that. There's one extra book that I do want to add in, and that is The Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston, because I read The Princess and the Fangirl this month and I kind of realised that I'm really in the mood for that kind of book, and I wanted at least one kind of lighter, happier book mixed in with all of these sort of, you know, spooky, ghosty horror books. But so yeah, that is my TBR for October. Let me know in the comments below what you are planning on reading and if there are any readathons that you are taking part in. We're just going to see how I get on with these. Wish me luck. I hope you all have a great reading month. I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe, and until next time, bye.